Yes, today we will be discussing daily current affairs of 9th of December 2022. So let's see what we have in our news. The first news is about the square kilometer array. The second news will be from the economy. I have taken it from the Indian Express today. Dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane will be our third news, which is commonly known as DDT. The fourth news is about ChatGPT, and the fifth news is about the Goblin Mode. So let's start with the square kilometer array. Why this was in news? Because in Australia, the construction of the world's largest radio astronomy observatory, which is commonly known as the Square Kilometer Array, has begun. Now, what is the Square Kilometer Array? Basically, it's an international effort to build the largest radio telescope, which is eventually going to be over a square kilometer of the collecting area. This telescope is going to be constructed at a radio quiet site so that the radio frequency from the universe can be captured and can be observed. It will consist of two sites that will be present in the country of Australia and South Africa. In Australia, it will be the square kilometer array of low that will capture the low frequency aperture by using the low frequency aperture array antennas, and in South Africa, it will be the mid frequency array antennas. The square kilometer array is going to give astronomers an insight into the formation and evolution of the stars, galaxies after the event of Big Bang, the role of the cosmic magnetism, and the nature of the gravity. So these are some of the objectives that are going to be fulfilled by the Square Kilometer Array telescope. Now, what is the Square Kilometer Array Observatory? Basically, it is going to be, it was an intergovernmental organization that was established in the early 2021. It is dedicated to radio astronomy, which is headquartered in UK. It is going to undertake the construction, operation and maintenance of the Square Kilometer Array telescope. The organizations from 16 member countries are going to take part in SKA project. The National Center for Radio Astrophysics is going to represent India's participation in the Square Kilometer Array Observatory. Now, economy today from 9th of December, I have taken it from the Indian Express. It is about the GM mustard hybrids yield. Now, according to the report, the GM mustard hybrid yield is 28% more than the national checks. Now, we will talk about what this national check is and how we check a variety. We will have a brief discussion over this. So, basically, the news is about the 28% more yield of the GM mustard. In one of our editorials, you can go to our channel and see that editorial about the genetically modified hybrid mustard, which talked about that how this genetic modified mustard is herbicide resistant and what is the gene that is present in it. Now, basically, it has been tested for like 3 years, and it has been shown that it yields 28% more than the national check and 37% more than the zonal check. Now, what happens whenever there is a commercialization or marketization of any of the crop, we have to understand that whether it is going to perform better than the local variety that is grown in that region or not. So, therefore, two checks were taken. The national check included the Varuna crop, the Varuna variety of the mustard, and the zonal check including the RL1359 during the confined field trials. That is the biosafety research level 1 and 2 trials at the multiple locations. So when we have the field trials at multiple location, it is known as the zonal checks, and when there is a field trial at the national level, it has to be tested with the national check, which is the commonly grown variety of the mustard, that is Varuna. So this was about the national checks and the zonal checks. Now, basically, how the GM mustard becomes the GM mustard, because it consists of the BAR gene that imparts the herbicide tolerance, and it was recently given approval by the Genetically Engineering Approval Committee for the field trials. Now, the next news about is the DDT, which is dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane, which monitoring in raptors is heavily biased towards the global north. Now, what is this DDT? This was in news because there was a monitoring of raptors. Now, what are these raptors? Raptors are basically, you can say they are birds of prey, right? Raptors are birds of prey, right? So they are carnivorous birds. For example, the vultures, the hawk, etc. So these are raptors. So dichloro ethane, which I mean DDT, monitoring in raptors, it has been shown that it is heavily inclined towards the global north. That means the usage of DDT is more towards the global north. Now, DDT it was first used in World War II to prevent the soldiers from malaria and from typhus, which are spread by mosquito and body lice, so that the soldiers could be prevented from these vector-borne diseases. And after that, it was used as synthetic insecticides and pesticides. So, common use of DDT is to prevent the growth of mosquitoes. However, it was later on found out that these mosquitoes, they have basically developed resistance over generation against the DDT. So DDT it became ineffective against the growth of mosquitoes. The continued exposure to the chemical, it causes neurological damage, endocrine disorder, that means related with the hormonal disorders. Now, hormones in case of insects are very important because it is the juvenile hormone and the other metamorphosis hormones which is responsible for the metamorphosis of the larvae of insects into an adult. It can also cause reproductive failure in both humans and animals. So these are some of the side effects of using DDT. Now, however, in 1970s and 80s, most of the developed world, that is the global north, it banned the use of DDT. In 2004, the Stockholm Convention, which is related with the persistent organic pollutant, had banned DDT in most parts of the world. And DDT in 2006 by WHO, it recommended the restricted use of DDT to control malaria. However, malaria is still prevalent in some of the countries, tropical countries such as Asia, Africa, South and Central America, and DDT is still used in these various tropical countries. Now, what are the effects on predator when it comes to the use of DDT? Because this was the reason why DDT was in use. The birds of prey, or the raptors as they are often called, they are the apex predator in the food chain. Now, bioaccumulation of DDT, it severely affects the metabolism. It affects it can cause reproductive failures, etc., etc. Now, what is this bioaccumulation of DDT? There are two terms which you need to understand: biomagnification and bioaccumulation. Biomagnification means the consistent increase in the concentration of a toxin as we move higher in the food chain. So the toxin, and DDT shows both. It shows bioaccumulation as well as biomagnification. So as we move from the lower animals to the higher animals, the biomagnification is there. So DDT gets accumulated in the body tissues and then it rises to the further tropical levels. So DDT shows biomagnification as well. That means persistent rise in the concentration of the toxin substance as we move higher up in the trophic trophic levels of the food chain. Now, bioaccumulation means that a particular toxic compounds, it gets stored in the tissue, in the body tissue, especially the lipid tissue, especially the tissue which stores the fat and lipid. Now, there are certain conditions for a substance to be bioaccumulated. The first one is that it is difficult to metabolize, and second, it gets deposited in the lipids, in the lipid storing tissue or the fat storing tissue, and it is difficult, and it shows lower, or you can say it shows very slow mobilization in the body. So because of their use of DDT, there is a considerable decline in the raptors population. Now let us talk about this fourth news of the day. It is about ChatGPT. Now basically it's a artificial intelligence tool that is creating buzz these days among the computer scientists and the programmers due to its creative capabilities. And what are those creative capabilities? There's a company by the name OpenAI, that is Open Artificial Intelligence, which has developed this chat bot, or which is called as ChatGPT. Now, what are these chat bots? Now, basically, when you surf internet or you use any other programs, or you try to use the customer services, etc., so you are often shown a chat box here. You type a question and a reply comes from the computer. So basically these are frequently asked question on the basis of which these are FAQs, on the basis of which the chatbot replies to your query. So this chat box, so this chat or the answer to your query by a computer is basically a chat bot. chatbot, right? And ChatGPT is the chatbot. However, it is much more than the chatbot. How? Because it is fine tuned to the conversational responses. There is no, you can, because it is artificial intelligence, so that means it will answer your queries just like a human, and there is no computerized response to your query. Now when we speak of the chat GPT, it is basically being seen as a replacement for the basic emails, the party planning list, CVs, writing 4-page essays, solving math equations, and even spotting errors in the code. The GPT language model is the generative pre-training language model, is basically a type of a neural network. Now what are these neural networks? When we speak of neural networks in terms of the artificial intelligence or machine learning, it basically comprises of the set of networks that are going to be modified and remodified in a manner so as to produce human-like response, human-like or show human-like learning. So that's what the neural networking means, and the input content will be basically the training data, so that the artificial intelligence gets trained on by the process of machine learning to respond queries in a human-like manner. So this technology makes it suitable for creating tasks like writing a new story, etc., etc. Now what is this OpenAI? Basically it's a company that was founded by the Elon Musk, Sam Altman and Greg Brockman in the year 2015, and it consists of a research institute and a company that has a sole focus on developing artificial intelligence technology in a responsible and a safe manner. Now let's talk about the fifth news of the day, that is about the Goblin Mode. Now what is this? The Goblin Mode is an Oxford's word for the year 2022. We know that the year 2022 is about to end after 20 days. Post 20-25 days we are going to celebrate new year, and every year Oxford Dictionary comes up with a new word by the end of the year, so as to see that which new word has evolved and which is representing the socio-economic and political dynamics that happens in the world, or the changing mode of the society, or the changing mode of the world economy, etc., etc. Basically it represents the change. Now Goblin Mode is basically a slang term. Slang term is something, it is not we can say that it's an abusive term, but slang means something which is used in daily routine and which does not find usage in a formal conversation. That's what slang means, and it does not have to be absolutely negative, or it does not have to be an abusive language, but something that typically denotes the day-to-day parlance. Now what is this meaning? The Goblin Mode, basically it means a type of a behavior which is unapologetic, self-indulgent, lazy, slovenly, greedy, typically in a way that rejects the social norms or expectations. So you can say that Goblin Mode is something associated with a behavior that is rejecting the societal discipline, law and order and norms. So basically you can relate Goblin Mode with a rising individualization. It is often used to express used in the expression in Goblin Mode, or to go Goblin Mode. That means to possess a behavior that is unapologetic. That is, you can say, there is a term in the absurdity, the absolute absurdity. So that can be connected with the absurd behavior, or right, audacity, you can say. So absolute Goblin Mode, it can be compared with the audacity, the unapologetic behavior. So it is the first word to be chosen by the public vote, this is to be noted. And it's a word of expression that has attracted a great deal of interest over the last 12 months, and it is decided every year. It reflects the ethos, mood and preoccupation of that particular year. Now what is this word of the year by Oxford Dictionary? Basically it represents the preoccupation of that particular year, the lasting potential as a word of cultural significance. Now that is going to basically signify a particular cultural change that has occurred in that year. The second place, it will be the metaverse, and the third place was given with I stand with. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching Trun IAS. And if you want to download the PDF of this session, you can go to the Telegram channel. Link will be given in the description below. Have a nice day.